To imagine a world without war, and then imagine what the road from here to there looks like. And thank you to Feminist.com for putting this together. This is incredibly exciting. First, I just want to make sure that you understand the amazing women that we have with us. We have systems thinkers. I'm going to start with someone who's not officially on the panel, the Honorable Shinkai Karokhail.
What amazing women we have around the world. We are not alone. The woman of Afghanistan is not the woman of yesterday. She's absolutely different. She wants to gain what she deserves to. Not only for herself, but also for the next generation, for our daughters. As a parliamentarian, I have a responsibility towards everybody.
It is not just women that want peace, and it's not all women that want peace. There is a huge, huge divide between what women think of war and what men think of war. Yes, we have a tremendously important role to play, but we have to understand that it is not necessarily just because we're women, that men have been the perpetrators of wars as a result of systems of power.
I think everybody in this room is an activist. My first protest was the Vietnam War. It led me to landmines. I became hardwired to believe that if we work together, we can change the world. Imagine what we all can do if we do it together. When you strategize together, when you push forward together, you have a hell of a lot more opportunity on a variety of levels of making governments do what they should do anyway. And from that came the Nobel Women's Initiative. And the whole purpose was to find ways to share the influence and access that we have as recipients of the Peace Prize to shine the spotlight on women's organizations around the world working for peace with justice and equality.
We actually invest in intergenerational and transformative leadership. That if today we have 860 million young women, 860 million heartbeats. The YWCA seeks to transform the individual women's experience to be a leader. And leadership is about starting with your own private life to say no to violence. To say, you know what, dear, today no sex, actually. You know, leadership starts with transforming your own space, because there cannot be peace unless we dare and to turn anger into transformation. We actually need to be shaping the narrative. And that narrative is our narrative. We are the majority of the population in many countries. And that narrative is about women's human rights. It's about freedom from violence. It's about living a world free of conflict. It's also making the personal very political. And lastly, it's about resources. I'm tired, I'm fed up, I'm angry with the unacceptable discourse that the world is no money. I believe that the narrative is wrong. And the narrative has to be a feminist narrative, promoting women's rights, protecting women's rights, investing in intergenerational leadership, and investing in enabling us to be who we are, because we are the world and we are global citizens.
So if there is something that gives me hope, it's the certainty that women are resisting and struggling all over the world, even in the most remote places. Precisely because I think we have been very smart about using new communications technologies to connect. But what we are reaching is a very important momentum. And I think we have become increasingly diverse as well. Indigenous feminists in my region are teaching us some of the most important lessons about resistance, but also about understanding violence. I think we have a big challenge with the language we use and how we communicate. We can only achieve that if we can work together in a collective way, that it's a dream for everybody.
What an amazing group of women. I feel. What is the best way to change things? Is it on the ground or any of these others, or is it political? And trying to get more women, even in the United States, to run, to get involved.
Questions which are put to women in leadership are very different from questions that are put to men in leadership. We need to continue to push for a significant number of women, just to be a critical number. And we are the majority of the population. No apologies, we need the 50-50.
The common variable to actually achieve policy changes on violence against women was a strong feminist movement on the ground, with a very strong movement that was unapologetic in terms of making all leaders accountable.
The research has also shown that once you get past 25% empowerment over a period of time, it makes a difference. It makes a difference in people's perceptions, that it becomes normal that you see women in positions of power. That basically grafting a few women into power structures which were never meant to include our voices is never going to make that change. It's the power structures themselves which have to be transformed.
How do I continue to engage and advance a feminist perspective on security, on human security, and within the militaristic patriarchal structure?
How do you do it as someone who lives and works in this society? I think is what we're doing right now, this conversation we're having about engaging with men to be part of the transformation of the societies we live in.
Enlist right-minded men in this effort.
To make sure that we are solid in what we're doing and we don't divide and fight each other.
I believe we have the power. We have the power to change our narrative.